This is the Investor Connect podcast program. I'm Hall T. Martin. I'm the host of this show in which we interview angel investors, venture capital, family offices, private equity, and many other investors for early stage and growth companies. I hope you enjoy this episode. Hello, this is Hall Martin with Investor Connect. Today I'm here with Bruce Wayne Meleski, Executive Director at Neuroception360. Neuroception360 helps individuals achieve their prime brain performance through mind integration. They aim to be the premier light, color, and vibration system for mental well-being. LCV is a broad set of measurable embodied techniques that can help create quick shifts in one's state of mind. Techniques use neuroplasticity to train new neural pathways that result in calmer emotions, greater awareness, and a new perception of one's environment. One signature technique, Mind Alive experience, creates a state of ultra relaxation. A series of these sessions quickly emerges a new state of resilience and a novel mind integration pathway. Bruce, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me, Paul. It's good to see you.
Good to see you as well. So what was your background before doing this? What was your previous work?
Well, I've always been involved with human performance. I worked extensively with elite athletes on the physical side. In the 80s and 90s, I used to train over 400,000 elite athlete training sessions on a platform, a software platform. And I've always been involved with helping people get better, feeling better. And about 10 years ago, I shifted my gears into looking at sleep, and sleep led me to the brain. And then I had my own bout of insomnia, which was just a horrible experience. I did a traditional approach, looking at medications such as Ambien and so forth. And it was that experience that said, I can do better than this. And so that's sort of where it started.
Great. Well, let's talk about the state of investing in the neuroscience space. There's a lot going on there. What do you tell investors to do before they write that check into a neuroscience company?
Well, understand the environment. It's a very hot topic, and there's a lot of different types of devices, sort of single solo functional devices. In the beginning, I really looked a lot at sleep, and that was when, before Fitbit took over, there was a product called MyZeo that raised a lot of money, did a great job, but it didn't really fit the mobility and the flexibility that the market wanted. So there were a lot of really good products that come into the neuroscience space, but they don't catch on for a variety of different reasons.
Great. And so what distinguishes a good company in the space from a not so great company? Is it the technology? Is it the business model? What do you think is a winning combination?
Well, I think it's definitely the acquisition model. How you going to acquire your patients or your clients. A lot of devices and apps, so you get into large downloads. There's apps out there that are quite simple, like Calm and Pray and all different types of things that modulate the nervous system, and those can be very effective. But I think they're not as robust as what the requirements are in neuroscience. So the thing about neuroscience, in my mind, that an investor should know is that the brain is very complex. Sleep is very complex. It's not a one-hit wonder. Very rarely does one thing, one aspect of sleep or brain health fix everything. That's one of the reasons when you look at Alzheimer's and memory and those types of things, having medications isn't the most effective. It's a lifestyle change. It's a multifaceted type of approach that has shown the best results in getting memory improvements. And so that's really what I'd recommend. Look at it in the scape of a whole, all the other tools that are out there, and also the systems that are out there. And that's what we've been looking at, the nervous systems. Like if you think of exercise, a lot of people know more about exercise. You've got aerobic exercise, you've got strength training, you've got flexibility, you've got certain categories of exercise and how they've sort of matured into the market. Well, I think the same things exist in the neuroscience space, but they're not as well understood by the consumer. So you've got memory types of things, you've got relaxation types of tools. So you got to know what the device you're looking at, where it's playing, what the competitors are, and it's a very, very rapidly evolving space.
It seems like there's a lot of new new technology on the marketplace and wearables. Apple iWatch and the Amazon and all those things have tools for measuring your condition. How effective do you think those are in the current format?
Well, the Apple Watch, that's one of the premier ones for sure. We like it for the medical record aspects of it. So the environment, plugging into that type of environment, we see that as an important element. In terms of deciding what's the best thing for a given individual, sometimes it's a trial and error type of thing. So you want to make sure that it has a broad use, in my mind, a broad application.
Great. And so what's the challenge in developing apps for this space? You talked about, acquisition models of customers, but what's the technical challenge you see coming up?
Well, the technical challenges are being solved, dramatically. There's so many different types of sensors. A lot of these are types of sensing technologies, and that has just taken off over the last 20 years since I started following this. So you've got sensors becoming smaller and smaller and more powerful and so forth. So I think that's another consideration when you're looking at this space. Is this a fast area of sensor technology evolving, or is it something that's pretty stable and it's really into customer acquisition mode? I mean, you saw that in sleep, as those tools to measure sleep came out, they got smaller and better. But what research showed was that they weren't as accurate sometimes, the measurements. So, and people got obsessed with the idea of measuring things rather than improving things. In sleep in particular, there was a research out that showed that those people who are measuring sleep on a nightly basis using any type of app worry more about their sleep because they're always concerned about, how did I do last night? Was it better? Was it worse? And that can add to the anxiety and impact, poor sleep. So it can be counterproductive in some cases. So you've got to get to what are the solutions? How are you going to change the types of things? So there's a vibration watch I wear. I just got it, and it's designed to, interact with the environment in a vibration type of way. And it would be used so if you were deaf, this type of technology, you could actually understand a person and hear people talk as this type of technology evolves. But David Eagleman in Stanford, he's introduced a product that's in a watch format. I took it because I wanted my innate system to improve the way that it interacts. It doesn't measure anything. It doesn't really measure anything. It shows you another dimension of interacting with the environment, primarily vibration.
I got you. So let's talk about the Neuroception360. What is that platform all about, and how does it work?
Well, Neuroception360 is focused on the emotional brain, primarily emotional, making the brain calmer, making the brain more emotional resilient, and deals with the stress areas of the mind. Now that's an area that's evolved very rapidly in the last 25 to 30 years in terms of a theory called the polyvagal theory, which really says that the body is the part of the body is what determines how the mind reacts to the world, much more so than the mind. So you have the cognitive aspects of the mind, but it's really the embodied signaling that can change that. So that's what we've improved. We've improved a system to develop calmer neural pathways, a more emotional balance, greater awareness, and ultimately it creates new perspectives for the individual. And that's what gives them the ability to enjoy life, be happier, and be more productive.
So what's the challenge in starting a business in this neuroscience sector, in particular for Neuroception360? What are you up against?
Well, we have the tools right now. We have the elements, some different devices. So we are in the process of moving into the systems level. Our challenge right now is to move into a system level. We are redirecting our marketing from more of a clinic model to a retreat model. So in 2021, we'll be offering executive retreats. We're going to be offering for physicians and business executives 3 and 5 day retreats that are immersive experience. So if you want to get into an ultra relaxation state, and that starts to shift a whole bunch of cascading behavioral changes and emotional changes. So that's the challenge for us. We're actually looking at purchasing some property. We may actually purchase a property to do this and create a healing center around the technologies that we're developing.
Great. And so how does Neuroception360, what's the future roadmap for that? Is that going to be made into a general platform, or is it going to be a special event type experience? But what do you see it going in the long term?
We see it going into a platform, into a neurobalance platform. And a lot of different tools can help balance that platform. So we're creating sort of the neurophysiology of mental well-being. We're creating a laboratory that can measure different things, determine which techniques and which types of approaches are most effective for you, and really become the premier offer for tying into a balanced, holistic, calm, emotional state of well-being.
Great. Well, in the last few minutes that we have here, what else should we cover that we haven't?
Well, I'd like to offer any of your investors. We'll be doing some seminars, these retreat seminars later this year, and offer them an opportunity to look for that, because this is a way to really understand the state. We'll have a number of different types of scientists and physicians in the space at these retreats. So that's an opportunity to learn and experience, because these are experiential types of retreats where you really experience something, you learn some stuff, but you learn more about yourself from the inside out.
Great. Well, how best for listeners to get back in touch with you?
Well, the best way to get a hold of me is my main website right now is mindalivenow.com. That is our technique, mindalivenow.com. And you can email me at drmel, DRMEL, at mindalivenow.com, or you can give me a call at 512-431-8531.
Great. We'll put those in the show notes. I want to thank you for joining us today and hope to have you back for a follow-up soon.
Super. Thanks, Hall. Talk to you later.
Investor Connect helps investors interested in startup funding. In this podcast series, experienced investors share their experience and advice. You can learn more at investorconnect.org. Hall T. Martin is the director of Investor Connect, which is a 501c3 nonprofit dedicated to the education of investors for early-stage funding. All opinions expressed by Hall and podcast guests are solely their own opinions and do not reflect the opinion of Investor Connect. This podcast is for informational purposes only and should not be relied upon as a basis for investment decisions.